What if I told you that you could completely transform your biggest problem without ever having to tell me what it is? No explaining your trauma, no reliving the painful details, no performing your story for a stranger who's taking notes. What if the work could happen entirely in your unconscious mind, with you staying in complete control of what you share or don't share? That's what I want to talk to you about today. Closed content hypnosis, and why it might be exactly what you've been looking for. I'm Martin Pavian, and this is the Martin Pavian Podcast. A disclaimer before we dive in. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and coach, but I'm not a licensed therapist. Nothing in this episode is medical advice, and if you're dealing with serious mental health concerns, please speak with a qualified professional. This is educational content, and if you'd like to explore working together, we can chat about that at the end. Right, let's get into it. So, closed content hypnosis, what is it? In the simplest terms, it means you work on your issues without telling me what it is. That's it. You keep the details private. Your unconscious mind does the heavy lifting. Now, if you've ever been to therapy, and I'm not knocking therapy, it's brilliant for many people, you know the drill though. You sit down and you have to explain everything. The backstory, the trauma, the details. And sometimes it takes weeks just to get to the point where you're actually ready to start the actual work. Here's the thing. For some people, that process is exhausting. Or it's re-traumatizing, or it brings up so much shame that they'd rather just not bother. Closed content hypnosis is different. You don't have to tell me anything. We work with your unconscious mind. That's the part of you that runs on autopilot. It handles your emotions, it stores your memories, and that part of you already knows what needs healing. So I guide the process. I create the framework, but you direct the content. Your unconscious mind knows what to focus on, and it does the work without you having to perform your story for me. It's private, it's safe, and it's surprisingly effective. Why it works? Now, you might be thinking, how can it possibly work if I don't know what's wrong? Fair question, and let me explain. Your unconscious mind is incredibly intelligent. It's the part of you that's learnt to ride a bike, that remembers your childhood home, that knows when something feels off, even if you can't explain why. It holds all your experiences, all your emotions, all the patterns you've developed over a lifetime. And here's the key. Your unconscious mind knows what the problem is. Even if you can't articulate it, even if you don't have words for it, even if you're not consciously aware of the root cause. So when we work together in hypnosis, which is just a state of deep relaxation for all intents and purposes, where your mind is focused and receptive, I'm not directing the content. I'm facilitating a process. I'm giving your unconscious mind space to do what it already knows how to do. Heal, reframe, and integrate. Let me give you an example. Let's say someone comes to me and they're dealing with anxiety, and they don't know where it came from. They just know it's there and it's ruining their life. In closed content hypnosis, I don't need to know the origin story. I don't need to know if it was their childhood, their job, their relationship, or something else entirely. I guide them into a relaxed state, and I work with their unconscious mind to identify the root cause and begin the work of resolving it. And it does, because it already knows. Now, here's the other reason this works so well. Talking about trauma can actually re-traumatize you. If you've ever been through something painful and you just have to sit there and relive it in vivid detail every week, that's not always helpful. Sometimes it just keeps the wound open. Closed content hypnosis lets you process without reliving. You can heal without having to drag yourself through the story again and again. And that's really powerful. When it's most useful. So when is closed content hypnosis most useful? Let me paint a few pictures for you. Maybe you're somebody who's carrying shame. You've been through something, a divorce, a failure, a betrayal. The thought of admitting it out loud to another person makes your stomach turn. You don't want to be judged. You don't want to see pity in someone's eyes. Closed content hypnosis means that you can work on it without ever having to say the words. Or maybe you're someone who's just exhausted from explaining yourself. You've been to 3 therapists, and every time you have to start from the beginning, tell the whole story, set the scene. By the time you get to the actual work, you're just drained. Closed content hypnosis skips all of that, and we get straight to the transformation. Or maybe you're someone who values autonomy. You're a bit skeptical of the whole therapy thing. You don't really trust people easily. The idea of handing over your deepest, darkest secrets to a stranger doesn't sit well with you. And fair enough. Closed content hypnosis gives you control. You decide what to share. You stay in the driver's seat. And then there's trauma work. If you've been through something genuinely horrific and the thought of talking about it feels unsafe, closed content hypnosis is a way to work on it without triggering yourself. Your unconscious mind can process it gently, at its own pace, without you having to put it into words. Finally, some issues just feel too private to voice. Maybe it's something you've never told anyone. Maybe you're not even sure how to describe it. And that's okay. You don't have to. Your unconscious mind already knows. And we can work with that. Addressing concerns. Now, I know some of you are still thinking, okay, but is it less effective? Surely, if you don't know what's wrong, I can't help as much. Not true. In fact, closed content hypnosis is often more effective precisely because you're not triggering yourself. You're not spending the session in fight or flight mode because you're not reliving something painful. You're calm, you're focused, and your unconscious mind can actually do the work. Another question I get, how do I know what to work on? And here's the thing, I don't need to know. Your unconscious mind knows. I just guide the process. I create the structure, the framework, the safe space, but your unconscious directs the content. It focuses on what needs attention. It makes the connections. It does the healing. And my job is just to facilitate. Your unconscious mind's job is to transform. One more thing. Just before you start with closed content doesn't mean it stays that way. Some people work with me for a few sessions and then they feel safe enough to share. They want to talk about it, and that's fine. It's your choice. The most important thing is that you're in control. You never have to share if you don't want to. The work can be done either way. So, in closing, here's what I want you to take away from this. You don't owe anyone your story. You don't have to perform your pain to deserve healing. And you don't have to explain yourself to be transformed. Closed content hypnosis gives you a way to do the work. Deep, real, lasting work. Without the performance. Without the shame. Without the exhaustion. Your unconscious mind already knows what needs to happen. And my job is just to help you to get out of the way and let it work. If this resonated with you, subscribe to the Martin Pavian podcast wherever you're listening. New episodes drop about twice a week. I'd love to hear from you. What's your crossroads moment? What's the thing that you've been carrying that you don't have words for? Send me a message at martin@martinpavian.com. And if you're ready to explore how coaching and hypnotherapy, including closed content work, can help you navigate your crossroads, visit martinpavian.com for a free 20-minute clarity call. No pressure, just a conversation. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.